Today I fucked up by not noticing my cat snuck into the dryer. Just editing to add a trigger warning, as some commenters have shared similar experiences in which did not end well. Also decided to move the too long did not read. Up here, Lieutenant Spoon is okay. Everything is okay. Kitty took a tumble for a couple of minutes, went to the vet, and all is well. He is happy, eating, drinking, and getting all the snuggles and belly rubs. This is not the first time this has happened in my life. So I'm usually very careful as I was traumatized years ago by a similar incident that happened with my mom and her cat. I was doing the laundry, typical Saturday morning cleaning for me. I don't ever let the cats into the laundry room because I've had this experience before. I also have OCD, so every single time will check that the cats are on the other side of the door before I start the dryer. Well, today I didn't do that. The one time I don't check. Lieutenant Spoon is a long-haired black cat and he's so quiet, he's like a shadow. He can sneak through anything if you're not paying attention. He must have snuck into the laundry room before I had a chance to shut the door. I threw the clothes into the dryer, left the door open just long enough to put a dryer sheet in, closed the door and started the dryer. I went back downstairs and was finishing cooking breakfast. It couldn't have been more than 2 minutes later that I heard the most awful screech I have ever heard in my entire life. I instantly knew what it was. When I tell you I flew up those stairs, I am not exaggerating. I opened the dryer and luckily it was not warm, but my sweet Mr. Spoon was all puffy and hissed at me, scratched my arms and even bit me. I feel like such a poss. I took him to the vet and they said he is okay. He is eating and drinking. Just read the title and I was like, oh no. Lieutenant Spoon probably already had PTSD from the war, and now you just aggravated it. All kidding aside, I am glad he is okay. Had one that did the same thing. The wife started the dryer and heard several thumps and stopped, opened it. Out came the cat. We renamed him Thumper. He didn't learn though, he repeated getting in the dryer the rest of his life. We just had to check before starting it. He died of natural causes years later, not from being over-dried. My ex and I had a cat crawl into the broiler in the stove. We were cooking and she asked me, "Do you smell hair burning?" I yanked the door to the broiler open as fast as I could. The cat shot out there like a bat out of hell. Amazing enough, only a bit of hair was singed on her tail. I always do a head count when I'm opening and closing any door, dryer, washer, etc. I could not handle losing my pet this way. Today I fucked up by assuming my boyfriend was developmentally delayed instead of being a stereotypical man. I grew up around mostly women plus my father. My dad is a 50-50th chore and life splitter feminist icon without realizing he is one. I also grew up without gender roles being imposed on me. I just did what I wanted and wore what I wanted. I thought my family was typical of most people. Then me and my boyfriend moved in together a few years back. Great times all around, and then the issues came. He didn't know how to do laundry, cook, keep a house clean and all the other little chores. I taught him how and then he struggled to keep it on a regular schedule. I had to wake him up every morning so he would go to work. I still keep an alarm on for him just in case, which is used once a week. He will come home from work, get changed in the living room, leaving a pile of clothes and his bag in the middle of the room, and play his PS4 for the rest of the day. There's a lot of small stuff he just doesn't get. Clean the sink of tour beard trimmings. If you piss on and behind the seat you have to clean it up or it gets rancid and gross. There's lots of other things he does where he cannot function if he lived alone. I genuinely thought he had developmental delays. In my head, people don't struggle like this without something not working right. Me being nice and supportive decided to research a bunch of things to help him cope with his day-to-day. I have star charts, mini posters around the house with pictures going through the process of how to do things step by step. I've got a little calendar on the wall for his tasks for the day that he can tick off. I've even changed the way I speak to him to be more direct with a bunch of positive reinforcement. It hasn't helped 100%, but it did help a little bit. It's more manageable. I've never invited friends around my place and have never told anyone about his issues. I didn't want to embarrass what he couldn't help, as it's our business, not the rest of the world's. A few weeks back I went to visit a very close friend who I haven't seen in a long time. It was just me and I stayed over for a few days. It was really nice not having to look after my boyfriend, as she is someone who I've been close to forever and trust with secrets. I opened up about struggling with my boyfriend's issues and how I'm thinking of pushing to get him a diagnosis. Turns out he isn't developmentally disabled, he just went straight from living with a mother who did everything for him to me. It's a somewhat common thing that a lot of men need to grow out of when they reach adulthood. Do you know how mortifying it is to find out that your boyfriend is just lazy and you being nice and helpful is actually a waste of time? Me and my friend keep messaging each other about this and I'm close to just packing it up and leaving. I am such a massive idiot. I should have noticed it sooner or told someone sooner. None of this keep it between us malarkey. Fuck. Too long did not read. My boyfriend would rather I think he is developmentally delayed rather than look after himself. I'm a girl. Only child who has a mother that would do everything for me. Even to the point where I would try to do things for myself like load the dishwasher, and she would find me doing it, tell me I was doing it wrong and start doing it her way, instead of talking to me and teaching me. My room at home was a mess, but luckily once I moved out I had a room and bathroom to myself and pretty quickly realized I liked having a clean space, so slowly taught myself over a few years even when I had super messy housemates. So I can relate to him a bit, but also think that he should have started to realize by now that he has to clean as well, especially with all the kind encouragement. I'm reminded of this classic opening square bracket. Oh man. So I've worked in grocery stores for well over a decade. Probably closer to 2 decades off and on, and one of my favorite things has always been the first-year college boys shopping on their own at the beginning of the school year. The college gals shopping almost always have a reasonable assortment of food in their carts, because they typically have been taught how to shop for food, at least by observation. The guys, on the other hand, are either going ham on foods they typically weren't allowed to have, or they just have no idea what to buy. It's almost always kid cereal, chocolate milk, and lots of meat. We are not doing kids any favors by not teaching them basic food skills. Honestly, just lead with the, I've noticed you have a lot of trouble sticking to routines or learning any of the household stuff, and I really think you should get diagnosed. I think you might have a learning disability. That's the best reason I could think of that would explain how I've been telling you I can't keep this up alone, teaching you in a way a 5-year-old could pick up, and you still continue to ignore doing the work until I get upset about it. Because the alternative is you just don't care about how important this is to me. I'm going to pick up my clothes off the ground now, thank you. I do not wish to be offered a helmet to wear. Today I fucked up by misunderstanding a party invite. My older daughter, R, 8 female, was invited to and went to her bestie's birthday party tonight. My husband dropped her off on his way to work. My younger daughter, D, 5 female, was upset she couldn't go, because it was at one of her favorite places. We told her not to feel bad she wasn't invited, since the party was for R's friend. Dee was bummed, but with help from some games, she moved on. Per the invitation, the party was supposed to end at 7 p.m. I got there right on time to pick up R, with Dee in tow. Except the party wasn't over. They hadn't even cut the cake. No big deal, we didn't have anywhere to be. I told Dee to go see if she could get some cake, because there was plenty. They kindly gave her some. Eventually, R's bestie started passing out goodie bags. Each one had the guest's name written on it. And there was one for Dee. It was at this moment that I realized my double foo. The party wasn't actually planned to end at 7, and more importantly, Dee was invited the whole time. I think the confusion happened because we're your garden variety white Midwesterners, and bestie's family is recent African immigrants. I guess there are just different cultural norms for birthday parties than we're used to. Thankfully, Dee is too young to understand the implications of the personalized goodie bag. If she had known, it would have been public meltdown city. But because we got there at the written end time, aka, not actually the end of the party, Dee got the cake, all the treats handed out after the cake, and her goodie bag, which all felt like a bonus to her. To me too, honestly, because it was so kind of them to include her. R, my husband, and I have all agreed to not tell Dee what happened. We got off easy this time, and next time, we'll know to clarify. Too long did not read. Misinterpreted a kid's party invitation and accidentally excluded one of my kids from a party she was invited to. I once made the terrible mistake of showing up at an Ghanaian house party at the invited start time. The hosts were surprised and one was still in the shower. We spent the next hour helping set everything up and getting ready for everyone else to come. Great party though, and the food was amazing. Pre-corona I put together somewhat extravagant birthday parties for my kids, both under 10 at the time. Invite specifically said siblings welcome. Unless it was written on the invite, I wouldn't have brought the sibling either. I didn't label our thank you bags as we had between 20–40 guests all inclusive depending on my kid. I invited their entire current school class and particular friends from the neighborhood, after care and previous classes. You are fine. Friend from my parents' work invited us to their daughter's wedding face to face. I am in the same age group as the daughter. The guy looked at me and told us to be there. I am like, cool, haven't been to a wedding for a long time. My folks were like, nah, they just said it to be nice. It's only meant for them since it's just work colleague. Sure, okay, I wouldn't know. Cue them sitting at a table with both me and my older siblings' chair empty. They were like, WTF, we visited each other house and went on do stuffs lol. For some reason I still get pissed off about it. Is it possible they had an extra bag and just wrote her name on it when she showed up? It's normal to think that 8-year-olds might not have wanted to hang with a 5-year-old. Today I fucked up by introducing my boyfriend to my old friend. Okay, so I didn't introduce them today, but I am certainly feeling the repercussions now more than ever. I just need to vent this somewhere. And #X200B. Necessary context. My old friend, who I will dub Valerie, had a habit of stalking through my friends list on social media and talking to people that I had previously mentioned in conversation to her. Often, boys I was interested in or close friends. She would message them and say that I recommended they be friends, and out of the 6 times she did this, 4 of them ended up ghosting me. I have no idea what Valerie would say, but I am sure it wasn't true. As well, she was just a shitty person overall. In one instance, she made up a sexual fantasy, inspired by a childhood event that traumatized me. Weird things like that. I stopped talking to her for obvious reasons back in 2021 after we had been friends for a year already. Right around the time I stopped talking to Valerie, I met a very nice boy named Evan. He has been so good to me, and I feel so lucky. I opened up to him months ago about how Valerie made me feel, and I told him all the awful things she did, including but not limited to, her stealing away my friends and people I had interest in. He agreed that it was awful and I had every right to be upset. And #X200B. A few months ago, Valerie reached out to tell me she had changed. I was hesitant but gave her another chance. We became a lot closer very quickly and I really did believe she had changed. I started to tell her about Evan, and how happy he made me. I even opened up about how I sometimes get very jealous when people are flirty with him despite him being very loyal. My mistake. And #X200B. A week later, Valerie asked to befriend Evan, saying she's heard a lot about him and how she wants to be involved in my life. Valerie had a history of saying or doing things that she knew would piss me off to make it look as though I was getting upset over nothing to the people I liked, resulting in them liking me less, thinking I am dramatic. I was wary, but felt bad for holding the past against her and introduced them. They got along great, despite Evan previously saying Valerie seemed annoying and he wouldn't like her at all. Within days, she sent a random picture to the group chat of her with her pants down very low. I expected Evan to say something as he's always been very forward with girls who show interest with him. He didn't say anything. She sent a similar picture the next day, and he still didn't say anything. I questioned him about it and he said it was nothing and there wasn't any reason for me to be upset. I felt bad and dropped it. I got a sinking feeling that Valerie was doing what she did before, making me look as though I'm getting mad over nothing after I disclosed to her my jealousy. Afterward, I explained to Evan that I was only upset because it reminded me of how Valerie used to be. How she was making me look bad in front of him on purpose, and it worked. He said he was wrong in thinking it was stupid to be upset about and that he didn't want to talk to her anymore knowing what she was doing. Less than a week later, he out of nowhere told me he thinks Valerie is funny. I thought that was weird to say considering he told me he wasn't speaking to her anymore and I hadn't seen any new messages in the group chat. I didn't get upset with him but I feel like I did seem pretty dejected. He told me again that it was a stupid reason to get jealous, and we had a small argument. I told him that I felt as if he took nothing I said in terms of how she made me feel into account, and he again told me he was sorry and it wouldn't happen again. Now over a month later, he told me again today that Valerie is very funny and invited her to play video games with us. I didn't even know they were still in contact. I feel like I'm losing him to her like the rest of the people she talks to. And #X200B. Too long did not read. My boyfriend stealer of a friend is stealing my boyfriend. If he doesn't believe you or side with you, he's not the one for you. Better he show you now that he's not ride or die than later when you need to be on the same team finding a place, getting married, raising kids, etc. Who are these shitty dudes? I am a guy and happily married, but even if I was dating someone. If another girl, a friend of my significant other, started flirting with me, my thoughts would be, what the fuck is wrong with you? I am with your friend. I would instantly think the other girl was a sleazy piece of shit. Sit them both down and tell them, I know I'm paranoid, but if I find out that you two are fooling around, I'm going to fuck your dads. And not just once for fun, I will rock their fucking worlds and ruin your parents' relationships. I'm young, I'm hip, I'm their children's age, I'm forbidden fruit. Your mom will call you crying. It will be the worst day of your life, for me it will be just another Thursday. So what game do you want to play? If this wonderful boyfriend cheats on you and leaves you for this cheap hoe, he wasn't a wonderful boyfriend. I know it hurts, but it is better to know now. She's not your friend and he's not respecting you.